Greetings and salutations, YouTubers and malefactors. Now, before I actually start cleaning the garage, I want to at least have a little bit of fun on the bike. So what we're installing are the Specmoto fork bleeders for the WR250R. I believe these are the right ones for it. So first off, supposedly after every single ride, you're supposed to get your bike up on a stand, keep the weight off the front wheel, and then you have these two screws up the top of your forks. And these are your air bleeders. Supposedly, your forks will build up pressure, and I mean they used to. When I used to ride back in the day, all my Kawasaki's actually had Schrader valves on top. Make sure you keep these in a safe location in case these fork bleeders leak. I'll be rebuilding my toolboxes too. But normally after you ride, you get the bike up on the stand, you pull out your fork bleeders up here, and you move any sort of excess air that builds up as the forks are working during normal operation. Then you got a little O-ring on it, you got a screw, Phillips head screwdriver, and right now you've got your forks open. Never do this with the bike under load because it'll leak out fluid sometimes, but also it'll cause your bike to sit unnaturally low. So what you normally get from like Rocky Mountain ATV and other businesses is the Motion Pro air bleeders, and they have a little button on top, and it has kind of like an open button design. And then one reason I didn't go for that is sometimes dirt will get wedged in those. I actually had a set back in the day. We might have improved the design by now, but a little bit of dirt got in there in the race, and as I was using my bike, my front forks just went completely down and compacted, and then started spewing oil all over me. So I went with these Specmotos. They're kind of a knockoff of another brand that uses a top protected design. The name of the other brand escapes me right now. These, I'm guessing, are kind of like the knockoff of it. So basically, you just take out your fork bleeders to install these, and hopefully these actually do fit. And like all things that you get off of eBay or Amazon, always check, I've already checked them, but check your threads for burrs or anything, so you don't wind up screwing up and needing to replace your cap on here. So that's basically all there is to this install. You get the thread to catch. Come on, fella. Kind of fit with my stupid meat hands in here. I like how low profile these are too. Then you just find the right size wrench, which will appear to be an 8mm. Grab that real quick. And yeah, well actually it's probably a 10 now I look at it. No, that's definitely an 8. So basically you grab the appropriately sized wrench and you finish tightening them down. Just snug them up, you don't have to wrench them out to death. Kind of makes me a little bit concerned that they don't have like a O-ring, or not O-ring, but a washer on top of it. That feels pretty snug on there. And basically when you're ready to bleed it, you put the bike up on the stand, just give it a little pop. Come on, get in there. That feels pretty tight and snug down. Do one more check on this one over here. And basically you're just going to want them push finger tight, because these are supposed to be like 3 foot-pounds. 3 foot-pounds is barely anything. 7 foot-pounds is what you have on your case bolts, and trust me, that's like 2 fingers tight. For those of you who are torque wrench opposed. Yep. Well, these appear to be in nice and tight. Well, let's let down the bike and see. Oh. Ooh, goodness. I didn't feel like I have anything popping out of it. Now, don't hit the buttons when you have a load on the front. I could show you what happens, but I really don't feel like pulling the bike up and reintroducing air to it. But yeah, I think we've got a successful installation here. I know, it's super tough, huh? I'll take these out and give them a shakedown on the road and the dirt, and if they do fail, I'm going to carry my spare bolts on me, just in case I have any issues. Now, the only other projects coming up is, of course, the James May sticker has to make it on this bike. That's a requirement. The Captain Slow sticker is a must on every bike. It gives you 40 horsepower, and it makes you extremely pedantic. And I'm already pedantic, so we're going to take that pedantism to the extreme, if that's a word. The other projects that are going to be going on today are a Spitfire windshield. Well, this is technically a knockoff Spitfire. These run about $60 on eBay. The actual Spitfire runs around 86. I've used it on every single dual sport bike I've owned. And we're going to finally get rid of these big clunky blinkers, because I finally got my mounts in the mail. Now, here's kind of the other difficulty I've had lately. Between Amazon and USPS, my stuff keeps on getting lost. So I've been waiting, ages to get my tire balancing goo to toss on my Test Dual Sports. And Seat Concepts has another delay on my seat. Though, for a factory seat, this actually isn't a bad seat. But I'm ready for my low seat. So I'm ready to kind of get this deal finished. But that's what we got today, so have a good one, folks. As always, we cordially invite you here at Stoplogic Motorsports to like and subscribe to content, and give you product reviews and tech and wrenching on bikes, and maybe even a little bit of fun stuff like everybody else. But in the meantime, see you out there. So we had finally found our elusive dirt road that we were looking for on the ride today. Did a 50-mile loop. Ended up finding something close to home that I was familiar with. Funny enough, this is the same dirt road I took the maiden voyage of the street legal RM125 on. So, it's been raining all week. The conditions out here are absolutely nasty and muddy, and these Bridgestone tires, well, you wouldn't exactly describe them as, say, sticky. So, trying to get a hold of some more rough terrain so we can get our forks packed full of air and test these fork bleeders out. Sadly, over to the right, there used to be a trail you could ride alongside the river, but the farmer went ahead and marked it as no trespassing. So now we go to the national, I guess, state-registered historical marker cemetery. And for some reason it looks like we've got a survey crew out here. Hopefully we're not building houses right by the cemetery, but who knows with as much building goes on these days. Well, we're going to go ahead and peel out of here. That's been unfortunate. I'd love to get down in there, but it's just not in the cards anymore. And I currently like the amount of holes and lead content my body has. So what we're going to look for here is I saw a little branch off into the woods that wasn't marked as anything. Well, we might go ahead and pop off on that here in a bit. Here we go, this looks interesting. Looks like I might be in a little bit of trouble here if I decide to press on. And the weeks full of rain hasn't improved the disposition of the soil in this area. Nearly went down there. So I can already tell these Bridgestone tires, if I were to take them in any serious mud, would be absolutely miserable. And after hitting the one large mud hole out at Spokes last weekend, I can tell you I had to get off and push the bike out of a mud hole. It's kind of embarrassing. We're going to go ahead and head on back to the homestead. Gotta be a little careful around these folks. Looks like they're doing some lineman's work or a little bit of road building for the back end of the new subdivision. It's quite surprising to have all these new subdivisions coming up, considering the fact lumber's up like 1,000% lately. Surprisingly, my GoPro mount seems to be doing pretty well today after doing the super glue and baking soda fix on it. Camera hasn't tumbled off into the dirt or onto the highway, so we're in good shape in that regard. Alright, let's get back out on 1660. So people ask, why didn't you go ahead and get the 300s, the new KLX, the new CRF? And quite honestly, this 250 puts out about the same amount of power, but has vastly superior ergonomics and suspension. I think what ended up eventually killing this bike, unfortunately, was the fact that it was $2,000 more than the competition. Though honestly, the competition takes about $2,000 to get on par with this bike out of the box. I'm just checking myself for mud before we head back. Having to be a bit careful right now. School zones in full force. Now we're gonna pop into the subdivision real quick. Alright, we're gonna get this beast turned off real quick, get the garage open and get up on a stand, and let's see how these fork bleeders work. Let's go ahead and get these gloves off. Put back on the glasses. We're not taking the helmet off at this time. And get my handy dandy stand. And upsy daisy. So the first bleeder doesn't look like we have any air. Second bleeder we had a little hits. I go ahead and get this back off of the stand. I need to get a new hand grip for this. It's starting to get a bit painful to deal with. Looks like everything seems to be in order. Forks seem to be right in the appropriate height. And make sure when you use these that you don't have any sort of weight on the front wheel or your bike's going to turn to a lowrider. So the product will be in the description. And the reason I got these over the Motion Pros or the other, I guess, brands on eBay or Amazon is that it has a protective cap design, keeps mud and schmutz from getting in it. There's an American version that I can also put in the description if you guys are interested. That version costs about $39.